Welcome to the top 10 Blu-rays of 2012. This is where I'll be counting down my personal top 10 favorite Blu-rays of 2012. It's been a great year for Blu-rays. It's the year where Blu-ray went from being a bad jazz singer to being a full-fledged home movie format. So let's take a look at some of the greatest releases of the year. First off, I'm going to be taking a look at some honorable mentions. These are all great Blu-rays and I would still recommend buying them all, but they just did not make the cut for some reason. So let's have a look. And my first honorable mention is gonna be The Avengers. The Avengers was one of the great films of 2012, one of the great blockbusters of 2012. It was a tremendous movie, packed with lots of action, but the Blu-ray left something to be desired. Even though you can enjoy the movie in full high-definition glory and you can listen to the fantastic 7.1 audio mix, it didn't quite have all the special features it should have. Depending on which version you bought, you got a little bit more, a little bit less, but I was expecting a lot more from this one. I think it had one documentary, a few deleted scenes, and that was about it. It had a short film as well, but I was expecting a bit more from this one. I think most fans would have loved to hear a Joss Whedon audio commentary on this one. And next up we've got Cinderella. This is one of the big Disney Blu-ray releases of 2012. Disney know how to put out great Blu-rays indeed. And this one is really not that much different, but it's not their sort of flagship movie and it didn't quite get the full-on treatment. You can't really compare it to a Blu-ray of the caliber of, say, Snow White and Seven Dwarfs, but it's still a good Blu-ray and I would still recommend going out and purchasing this one for sure. And then we've got E.T. the Extraterrestrial. Now you're wondering, why the heck did this one not reach the top 10? Well, I think E.T. was kind of overshadowed by Jaws this year. We had a lot of great Universal Blu-ray releases and we had a lot of great Steven Spielberg Blu-ray releases. And I think Jaws was the big one this year. E.T. came out just a few months after Jaws, right around Halloween time, and it was not quite as well marketed or as well produced as the big old Jaws Blu-ray. It's still a really cool Blu-ray though. It's got a great transfer, it's got a really good wealth of special features, but it doesn't quite come up to par with the stuff on the Jaws Blu-ray, which was just stacked to the top. But still, check out E.T. on Blu-ray for sure. I'm pretty certain that fans won't be disappointed. And then we've got some more Universal Blu-ray releases. Gladiator came out in a beautiful digibook Blu-ray this year. This is definitely a Blu-ray to have if you don't have this already, but I think it's been out in different versions already, so it's taken quite some time for it to reach the ultimate digibook edition. But now that it's here, it's sort of a no-brainer. Go pick it up for sure. You've got an absolute wealth of bonus features here. Got the film in extended format in a beautiful restored high definition transfer here, so that's pretty much a no-brainer, but it still didn't make my top 10. It wasn't a big new blockbuster in 2012 and it had already been out in various releases already, but check it out for sure. Then we got King Kong, another digibook from Universal, the 100th anniversary edition. This comes in a nice 100th anniversary digibook exclusive, but it does not carry over almost any of the special features from the extended edition DVD. If you've had the extended edition DVD version, you'll know that they were plentiful and really solid. Great edition of the movie, fantastic Blu-ray. You've got both the theatrical and extended cuts on there, but it doesn't have all the fantastic special features, so I can't put it on my top 10 for this year. Next up we've got the Lady Snowblood 2-pack from Arrow Video. This came in a nice steelbook edition and it contained both Lady Snowblood and Lady Snowblood Love Song of Vengeance. This is a very nice edition for sure. It's a piece of Japanese cult cinema. It inspired the likes of Kill Bill and such. So if you haven't seen these, I would highly recommend picking them up. This is definitely a treat for cult fans, but if you're not into cult films from the 1970s, then you might want to stay away from this one. Next up, another steelbook. It's Old Boy from Play.com. Another beautiful edition of a very cool film, but chances are you've already picked this one up. If you don't have Old Boy in your collection, then I would definitely recommend picking this one up straight away though. It's a really great film, very well written and well acted, and it's got a nice blend of action, thriller and drama, so check it out for sure. And next up, it's Prometheus from director Ridley Scott, one of the year's big films for certain. This didn't make the top 10 for one simple reason. It was a fantastic Blu-ray, but they saved all the really good special features for the Super Deluxe 3-disc 3D edition. So even if you didn't have a 3D television, you had to shell out a lot of money just to get the good special features. For shame, that's not good. I think everybody should have gotten the proper special features stuff, not just the people with the 3D televisions. So that's why I couldn't put Prometheus on the top 10 list. Otherwise, a really fantastic Blu-ray though, and if you don't have it already, then it's definitely worth picking up. But I still think it's a damn shame that they didn't have all the bonus features on the regular 2-disc edition. And then we've got The Amazing Spider-Man. This is the Mark Webb reboot of the Spider-Man franchise, which came out this year. Came out in a nice 2-disc Blu-ray edition. Very solid stuff. I believe it also came out in Blu-ray 3D. A solid movie, and it was packed with tons of special features that dwelled deep into the production of the film. So if you enjoy the film, it's definitely worth a look, and it's worth having in your collection. I don't have a lot of negative things to say about this one. It just barely made it to the top 10 list. Next up, we've got The Terminator, another Play.com Steelbook exclusive. I hear this has a fantastic transfer. I have not been able to check it out yet, but it's a very cool edition of a classic film, worth picking up and worth having a look at for certain. So I'm so glad to see that the original Terminator is getting some love, because I think with all the sequels these days, it's well overdue. This movie is just tremendous, and I'm so glad to have a nice edition of it. This also came out in the US recently, of course, and I think it has pretty much the exact same features and the exact same transfer, so be sure to pick up the Terminator if you don't have it already, because now is the time. And my final honorable mention is going to go to Zombie Flesh Eaters, the last steelbook from Arrow Video. This is a fantastic steelbook edition, and you can click on it to see more about the actual steelbook. This is another cult favorite that is sure to please gore fans, and it might only be suitable for the hardcore horror audience. But if you are a hardcore Lucio Fulci fan, then you should pick this one up for certain. It's got a tremendous transfer that's been restored from the original camera negative, and some fun, insightful special features with some of the great minds behind this cult classic. So those were my honorable mentions for this year. Let's have a look at the top 10 list, and we're gonna start with number 10. And number 10 goes to Battleship. This is the Michael Bay wannabe Peter Berg directed action fest of 2012. The reason this made the list is not because it's got the best acting or the best writing out there, but because it's a loud and dumb, fun action movie with a tremendous Blu-ray transfer. It's got audio that's gonna shake your roof, it's got a video quality that's just up there with all the Transformers Blu-rays. This is just a fun way to spend a Saturday night when you've got nothing better to do. If you want to share the magic of Blu-ray with a friend, then pop this one in, and if your friend's not convinced by the end of the movie, then I'm not sure what's gonna bite on them. Because simply put, Blu-rays don't get much better than this. And at number 9 we've got The Return of the Living Dead. It's very cool to see that this movie finally got some love from the UK in this absolutely tremendous steelbook edition. This one's already been out on Blu-ray previously, but it's never been put out in a version quite as nice as this one. It not only comes in a beautiful custom-made steelbook with tremendous artwork all the way through, it's also got a nice booklet, and it's got tons of special features, including a new 2-hour-long retrospective documentary with all the people involved in the production of the film, and as a bonus treat, all the original music has been restored to the movie. So you get that rockin' soundtrack just the way it's meant to sound. I'm pretty sure that the original Return of Living Dead is never gonna look, sound, or be presented as well as it is here. Now is the time to pick this one up for certain. A really great package for cult horror fans. So that's why it's number 9 on this list. And number 8 is of course gonna be Jaws. No big surprises here. This was one of the year's biggest Blu-ray releases. It was greatly hyped, and it's been a long time coming. Fans have been clamoring for this movie on Blu-ray for a very long time now, and we got a stellar Blu-ray release this year. One of Steven Spielberg's first, and some argue best, films has been given a lavish treatment with both old and new behind-the-scenes footage, hours of documentaries, several different Blu-ray cases you could collect and choose from, including a huge collector's set. And of course, probably the most attractive thing about it, the careful frame-by-frame restoration of the entire film. So if you haven't seen Jaws yet, it's time you checked it out now. Coming in at number 7 is The Walking Dead. What do you do when your favorite TV show of all time is having a mid-season pause? You go back and watch the first 2 seasons, of course. And there's no better way to do it than with these fantastic Blu-ray sets. Doesn't really matter if you bought the zombie head set, if you bought the barricaded season 1 set, or if you just bought the regular ones. These are jam-packed with bonus features, and they simply contain the moment for moment, beat for beat, frame by frame, line by line, best TV series ever made. So if you for some reason still haven't been watching The Walking Dead, then you have to start here. Number 6. Universal Monsters, The Essential Collection. There were many great box sets in 2012, but this one is a true labor of love. With all 9 classic Universal monster films, if you include Spanish language Dracula, this is the box set to have if you are a horror fan or a movie fan of any kind. Whether it's going back to dark evenings of nostalgia, or if you've just experienced these films for the first time, this beautiful box set will be perfect for your shelf. It comes in a regular edition and a coffin box set, but no matter which version you decide to buy, you get an incredible insight with their booklet, all the marvelous special features, not to mention the actual digicase itself, which has been carefully designed to include all these ghoulish, ghastly monsters. If you didn't pick it up this Halloween, make sure you have it next year. Even though it doesn't contain any sequels per se, unless you count Bride of Frankenstein of course, and it doesn't contain any spin-off movies like Abbott and Costello, this is the place to start for classic Universal horror. Look no further for classic cinema than this. Number 5. The Dark Knight Trilogy from Christopher Nolan. If you think about it, you get a lot of bang for your buck with this box set. It might not be the most jam-packed with special features, it might not have audio commentaries from the director himself, so don't go in expecting anything like that. But you do however get one of the best trilogies made this side of the millennia, and that's saying a lot. You also get a nice slim black case to keep them in, and a sweet little art book which comes along with it. There are few superhero films, and indeed few films that can live up to the Dark Knight trilogy. It's worth every single cent, preferably viewed on a big television screen with fantastic surround sound, so you can relive those movie-going memories. I can't believe it's already over. Number 4. Snow White and the Huntsman. Okay, I admit I'm cheating a little bit on this one, because this one's actually a limited edition box set. So you don't see that in every Blu-ray dime store around the corner. But nevertheless, it's an absolutely stunningly beautiful film, best experienced on Blu-ray at home, with some very cool bonus features including 360-degree set tours and some marvelous artwork from the director. If you have a sudden tax return and you have some extra money on your pocket and you decide to get this set, it'll be worth every single dime you spend on it. It's an absolutely marvelous box set from the outside to the very core, loaded with the film itself in a gorgeous steelbook edition, a huge coffee table art book with sketches and designs that will immerse you in the fantastic fantasy world of the film, a full-sized poster and art cards that you can hang up on your walls. It's also a dark, visual, epic take on Snow White, perfect to view at home on a stormy night. Number 3. Indiana Jones: The Complete Adventures. As I mentioned before, this has been quite the year for Steven Spielberg on Blu-ray. Not only did we see Jaws and E.T., but we also saw the entire Indiana Jones saga on Blu-ray in one set, which is the debut for the original trilogy on Blu-ray. This is one of the most amazing box sets I have seen. From the lovingly crafted artwork on both the outside and the inside, to the jam-packed special features disc with both new and old material, and every single movie has been carefully restored to absolutely pristine Blu-ray quality, where the old saying, like seeing it for the first time, becomes more than just a cliche, because it's really true in this case. Raiders of the Lost Ark just looks and sounds phenomenal. It probably looks better than it did on cinema screens in 1981. You've got my personal favorite, the much darker sequel in Temple of Doom, and you've got what's probably the funniest film of the entire series with The Last Crusade, where he joins forces with his father, Sean Connery. Even though this box set also contains the much abhorred fourth film, Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull, you owe it to yourself to pick this set up. Even if you've had old VHS copies and old DVD copies, this set is absolutely incredible. Aside from the fourth film being included, I see very few downsides to this box set. It's a treasure chest waiting to be discovered by an eager Blu-ray adventurer. Grab your hat and bullwhip and join in all the adventures. Number 2. The Girl with a Dragon Tattoo. From director David Fincher, based on the novel by Stieg Larsson, this was one of the big cinema events right at the tail end of 2011, and it's become one of the greatest Blu-ray sets of 2012. I was waiting eagerly for this Blu-ray set like a little kid on Christmas Eve. I ran to stores, I checked the thing out on the web, I was prepared for this one. I knew that David Fincher would not disappoint with this Blu-ray set. If you've seen The Social Network on Blu-ray, you'll know exactly what I mean, and he has outdone himself with this set. It's a nice, slim, beautiful Blu-ray set on the outside with grey artwork and that stark look of the characters Lisbeth Salander and Mikael Blomkvist. But don't underestimate this Blu-ray based on the artwork alone. Once you pop the discs in, you are in for a treat. Not only does the movie itself look amazing, you've also got a full-length audio commentary from director David Fincher and an entire supplements disc with hours upon hours of bonus features that dig very deep into the entire film. They mention everything from the novel itself, the characters, the design of the clothing, the makeup, filming in Sweden, casting Rooney Mara as Lisbeth Salander, adapting the screenplay, editing, shooting on high definition, everything you could ask for. In fact, the only thing missing that is not covered in the supplements disc is about the score by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. That's the only thing that's missing from this set. Other than that, it's one of the most fascinating dives into recent cinema history you can get your hands on. It's a testament to David Fincher and a testament to modern day filmmaking at its peak. So don't miss out on this set. It's far more valuable than the price tag alone would tell you. Fantastic film in an even more incredible Blu-ray set. And finally, number 1. Titanic. I bet you're surprised now, aren't you? So am I. I was not expecting this to be the Blu-ray of 2012. But now that James Cameron has undergone a very careful frame-by-frame 3D conversion of his entire film Titanic, it has resulted in one of the most astounding Blu-rays I have ever laid eyes on, period. Avatar is fantastic as a digital film, entirely digital, but this is probably the most beautiful, natural film I have ever laid eyes on. It's incredible. Believe me, it's really astounding. There are a few blemishes here and there, just a few shots, like one or two, during the entire running time of this film that look a little bit off. But overall, the film looks absolutely incredible. Every single shot, every single pore in every human being's skin. You can see the incredible artistry on display. You can see the fantastic sets, the gleaming of every little tablespoon. You can basically see every last straw of hair on every person on the Titanic at all times. I mean, I was astounded by not just the close-ups. The close-ups usually look fantastic on Blu-ray if they're well filmed and they've been well transferred. But this movie even looks incredible in the wide shots. I didn't really think that a movie from 1997 filmed on a traditional film stock look this good for some reason. I always associate 1990s films with really crummy looking transfers for some reason, but this is just incredible. Not to mention you can watch it in 3D at home, which I'm sure is even more incredible. James Cameron really knows how to utilize 3D. It's not about things popping out of the screen at you, that distracting kind of 3D. It's really about being immersed in the world itself. It's about walking on the Titanic itself, seeing the depth and beauty of the sets. And that's probably gonna be one of the best 3D Blu-rays of the year as well. I know the film itself has its problems. I'm not gonna deny that. I'm not the biggest fan of the movie itself. But you can really come to appreciate all the hard work, all the amazing production design, and just the amount of sheer detail that's gone into this film beyond the, shall we say, crummy script writing going on. Some of the dialogue is a little bit iffy, but that's okay because you're really transported back in time when you view this thing on Blu-ray. But that's not all. You also get all the old special features ported over, hours of deleted scenes, also in pristine high definition quality, I should mention, and you get two new full-length documentaries, one on the impact of the film ever since release, a bit on the 3D conversion and a bit on the new premiere, and you also get one of the most interesting documentaries I've seen all year called The Titanic: The Final Word with James Cameron. James Cameron himself sits down with a team of Titanic experts to figure out how exactly did the Titanic sink. It's a very technical endeavor, but they try to figure out exactly what happened to the Titanic from the moment when she struck the iceberg to the moment that she landed on the bottom of the ocean. Every single bolt and rivet on that ship is analyzed in detail, and they figure out a very, very plausible scenario for exactly what happened to the ship as she broke apart and as she sank to the bottom. It's very interesting because it actually refutes some of the info that James himself used for his own film, so he actually renders his own movie inaccurate by producing this interesting documentary. So that's gonna be a must-have for any Titanic historian or Titanic enthusiast. And it's also very, very interesting, if a bit technical, and James Cameron does get the final say on a lot of things. Even if you hate Celine Dion, even if you hate Leonardo DiCaprio, even if you can't stand James Cameron's bloated face, then you should probably give this film a second chance on Blu-ray. It's just one of the most incredibly beautiful, lavish films I have ever laid eyes on, and it's presented here in a near pristine Blu-ray transfer. So make sure you give this one a chance on Blu-ray. It is worth it. That was my pick for the best Blu-ray of the year. But that's not all. Before I say goodbye for now, I'm gonna leave you with 5 more Blu-rays. These are my top 5 most anticipated Blu-rays of 2013. First up, we've got the Tarantino 20 or XX collection box set. Contains all of Tarantino's films up to and including Inglourious Basterds. You've also got True Romance in there, huge plus for that. Looks to be an absolutely incredible box set. Unfortunately, it's not been released in Sweden yet. It doesn't come out until next year, so that's why I'm gonna pick it up then. I thought about importing it from the UK, but I'm just gonna wait to get some Swedish subtitles included in this release. We've also got not 1 but 3 really awesome Disney films coming out in 2013. We got Peter Pan, a real classic. Haven't seen that one in years, it's gonna be a real treat. Then we've got a 2-pack of The Hunchback of Notre Dame, which is one of the darkest and most epic Disney films ever made. I'm really looking forward to hearing that in true DTS surround sound later in the year. And then this fall I think we're gonna see The Little Mermaid. Shut up, I like The Little Mermaid. It's really the end of an era. That's the end of classical Disney as far as I'm concerned. After that, Disney was never quite the same. The Little Mermaid is actually a fantastically well-crafted film when you take a look at it and really analyze it. Then, last but not least, we've got Black Sunday coming from Arrow Video. This is a classic Mario Bava film. Can't wait to get my hands on this one. It looks really promising, and Arrow Video always know their stuff. Okay, so that's been my top 10 Blu-rays of 2012. What's been your favorite Blu-ray releases of the year? I will be back with the top 10 worst and the top 10 best movies of 2012. Coming very, very soon. See ya!